Today something satisfies, something lands. Something in you stops reaching and starts receiving. At 12:01 p.m. Eastern, Venus crosses the threshold into Taurus. The goddess returns to her own home, and what has felt unstable for weeks, in love, in money, in what you believe you deserve, begins to settle into ground that can actually hold it. This is not a small transit. Venus rules two signs, Taurus and Libra. But Taurus is where she lives. Taurus is where she rests. Taurus is where she stops performing and simply exists in her own nature. When Venus enters her domicile, the planet operates at full strength. No compromise, no negotiation, no borrowing power from difficult aspects or supportive planets. She has what she needs because she is where she belongs. For the past 4 weeks, Venus moved through Aries, but Aries is not her territory. In Aries, Venus had to fight for attention. She had to compete. She had to assert herself in ways that felt unnatural, pushing for connection instead of attracting it, demanding recognition instead of simply deserving it. If relationships felt like battles recently, if your sense of worth kept requiring defense, if love felt like something you had to chase rather than something that came to you, that was Venus in exile. That chapter closes today. The body knows before the mind names it. You may have woken up this morning already feeling different. A strange calm, a subtle fullness. Not excitement exactly, but presence. The nervous system recognizes safety before consciousness catches up. Venus entering Taurus speaks first to the body, to the skin, to the belly, to whatever part of you has been clenched and waiting. The unclenching begins now. In Babylon, 5,000 years ago, Venus was Ishtar, queen of heaven, goddess of love and war simultaneously. The 8-pointed star that marked her temples still echoes in symbols we use today. But Ishtar had 2 faces. As evening star, she embodied harmony, attraction, the magnetic pull that draws souls together. As morning star, she became the warrior, fierce and demanding, willing to descend into the underworld itself to claim what was hers. The myth of Ishtar's descent mirrors the astronomical cycle of Venus exactly. She disappears from the sky, dies, hangs in darkness for 3 days, then rises again transformed. Venus entering Taurus is the resurrection moment, the goddess fully restored, clothed in all her regalia, radiant on her throne. The wandering ends. The queen is home. What does this mean for your body today? The shift from Aries to Taurus moves energy downward. Aries rules the head, the face, the blood rushing to prove and assert. Taurus rules the throat, the neck, the voice that speaks worth into existence. You may notice your jaw unclenching. You may find your voice dropping into a lower, more grounded register. The throat chakra activates, not to shout, but to hum, to settle into resonance. Pay attention to what you eat today. Taurus Venus heightens the connection between nourishment and pleasure. Food becomes more than fuel. It becomes communion with the physical world. The textures matter. The flavors register more deeply. This is not about indulgence for its own sake, though Venus in Taurus can certainly overdo comfort. This is about recognizing that the body deserves beauty, that feeding yourself well is an act of self-worth, that pleasure and health are not enemies. The throat may ask for attention in other ways. Some of you will feel called to sing, to speak, to finally say what has been lodged there. Taurus energy is slow, but when it speaks, it means every word. What truth has been stuck in your throat? What declaration of value has been waiting? Venus, in her own sign, gives permission. The voice that emerges over the next 25 days will sound different than what you have heard from yourself before. Now I want to talk about what Venus in Taurus is actually here to teach, because this transit arrives at a very specific moment. In 2 days, the full moon in Libra illuminates your relationship axis. Venus rules that full moon from her throne in Taurus. Whatever gets revealed on April 1st, whatever relationship truth becomes undeniable, Venus in Taurus provides the ground to receive it. Think of it this way. Venus spent 4 weeks in Aries, learning what she is willing to fight for. Now, she enters Taurus to remember what she actually values. The fighting taught her something. The discomfort clarified. But clarity without ground remains abstract. Taurus gives the clarity somewhere to land. The next 25 days are for building, not battling. For receiving, not chasing. For letting worth prove itself through stillness rather than effort. The ancient Babylonians kept meticulous records of Venus. The Venus tablets of Amisaduqa, carved nearly 4,000 years ago, tracked her appearances across 21 years. These are the oldest astronomical records in human existence. The priests watched. They waited. They understood that Venus, visible in the evening sky, meant peace and abundance. Venus, as morning star, meant war and disruption. They read her movements as messages from Ishtar herself, guidance for kings, warnings for nations. When Venus was strong and visible, harvests flourished, treaties held, love multiplied. When Venus disappeared or weakened, caution was required. Today, Venus does not just appear, she arrives home. In the ancient framework, this is maximum beneficence, the goddess fully present and fully generous. Whatever you have been asking for in matters of love, money, beauty, self-worth, the cosmic door opens wider today than it has been in months. But Taurus wisdom is patient wisdom. Venus will be here until April 24th. There is no rush. The desperate grabbing that Aries demanded can stop. Taurus knows that what is truly yours will come to you, not because you manifested it through force of will, but because you aligned yourself with what you actually deserve. The difference matters. Aries Venus said, "I will make this happen." Taurus Venus says, "I will allow what is mine to find me." This distinction becomes crucial over the next 3 weeks. Mercury remains in Pisces, slightly foggy, intuitive, but not logical. Mars swims in Pisces too, wanting to act but unsure of direction. The mental and action-oriented planets are both underwater. They cannot lead clearly right now. Venus in Taurus offers an alternative navigation system. Follow what feels good. Follow what nourishes. Follow what your body reaches toward without your mind having to justify it. The body knows the way when the mind is lost. I want to speak now to what Venus in Taurus means for your money. Because Taurus rules the second house, the house of resources, possessions, what you earn and what you own. Venus here does not automatically mean wealth arrives. It means your relationship to wealth shifts. The desperate energy around money, if you have carried it, begins to soften. The belief that you must struggle to survive, if that has been your pattern, comes up for examination. Venus in Taurus asks, do you actually believe you deserve abundance? Not as an affirmation you repeat, but as a lived reality in your nervous system. Do you flinch when good things come? Do you immediately prepare for the other shoe to drop? Do you receive compliments and quietly deflect them? Do you charge less than your work is worth because asking for more feels dangerous? These are Venus and Taurus questions. These are the patterns she illuminates in order to heal. The invitation is not to force yourself into believing something new. The invitation is to notice what you already believe and to ask whether that belief still serves you. Taurus moves slowly. She does not demand overnight transformation, but she does demand honesty. The lies you tell yourself about your own worth, the negotiations you make with your own value, these become visible over the next 25 days. Visibility is the first step towards change. For those in relationships, Venus in Taurus emphasizes stability over excitement. The fireworks of Aries Venus give way to the slow burn of genuine comfort. If your relationship cannot survive comfort, if it requires constant drama to feel alive, that truth becomes apparent. But if your relationship can settle into presence, into Saturday morning silence that feels like home, into bodies that know each other without performance, then these weeks deepen what is already real. For those seeking relationship, the energy shifts from pursuit to attraction. Aries Venus chaste, Taurus. Venus becomes magnetic. The desperate reaching stops. In its place, a kind of self-possession that draws others in. Not playing hard to get, that is manipulation. But genuinely being so rooted in your own worth that connection becomes optional rather than necessary. Paradoxically, this is when connection finds you most easily. You stop looking like you need something from others. You start looking like someone who has something to offer. The full moon in 2 days will bring whatever is unresolved in your relationship sector to the surface. Venus in Taurus gives you somewhere to stand when that revelation comes. Not reactive, not defensive, rooted. Whatever you learn on April 1st, you will have the ground to integrate it. Venus prepared the field. The full moon delivers the seed. What grows from that planting depends on how honestly you receive what is shown. Simon, let me speak now to each sign. These messages work for both sun and rising, but rising sign will be most accurate for timing and house placement. Drop your sign below. Let us see who gathered here tonight for Venus coming home. Aries. Venus enters your second house of income and self-worth. 4 weeks of her in your first house demanded you assert your identity. Now you must decide what that identity is worth. The next 25 days, rebuild your relationship with money from the foundation. Ask yourself honestly, do you charge what you deserve? Do you value your time the way you demand others value it? What you answer matters. Taurus. Venus comes home to your first house of self and identity. This is your annual Venus return, the most beautiful transit of your personal year. For 25 days you radiate. You magnetize. You remember who you are when you are not trying to be anyone else. Let people see you. Let yourself be received. The mask you have worn can come off. What is underneath is better anyway. Gemini. Venus enters your 12th house of hidden things and spiritual closure. Beauty goes internal. Rest becomes necessary. This is not a time for social performance, but for private replenishment. What secret longing needs acknowledgement? What grief around love needs quiet space to finally move? The 12th house heals what the world cannot see. Give Venus room to work in your depths. Cancer. Venus enters your 11th house of community and future vision. Friendships become more nourishing. Group involvements offer genuine connection rather than obligation. The next 25 days favor joining, collaborating, letting your social ecosystem support your dreams. That community you wished existed. You may realize it was there all along, waiting for you to actually participate. Leo. Venus enters your 10th house of career and public reputation. How others see you becomes more favorable. Professional connections soften. Whatever you put into the world over the next 3 weeks gets received more warmly than usual. This is visibility that serves you. Let yourself be seen at your most authentic. The applause that comes will be for the real you, not the performance. Virgo. Venus enters your 9th house of expansion and higher meaning. Beauty is found in learning. Pleasure comes through perspective shifts. Travel, literal or intellectual, becomes more appealing and more rewarding. What philosophy have you been meaning to explore? What foreign landscape, inner or outer, calls you? Venus says, go there. The journey will be worth it. Libra. Venus enters your 8th house of shared resources and deep transformation. This is your ruling planet moving into your house of intimacy, merging psychological truth. The next 25 days intensify whatever is already real in your closest bonds. Surface relationships reveal their limits. What is genuine goes deeper. Financial partnerships, inheritances, debts, all come under Venus's gaze. What is fair? What is truly shared? These questions get answered. Scorpio. Venus enters your 7th house of partnership directly across from your sign. Relationships take center stage. For 25 days, your one-on-one connections receive cosmic support. And if you are partnered, let yourself receive what your partner offers. If you are seeking, the person who appears now may have more significance than you initially realize. The 7th house opposite your sun asks you to balance self with other. Venus makes that balance feel possible. Sagittarius. Venus enters your 6th house of daily work and health routines. Beauty enters the ordinary. Your job becomes slightly more pleasant. Your body responds to self-care more readily. The small acts of maintenance that usually feel tedious become opportunities for genuine nourishment. Exercise because it feels good, not to punish. Organize because order creates peace, not to control. The mundane becomes sacred. Capricorn. Venus enters your 5th house of creativity and joy. This is the house of romance and self-expression, and whatever you do purely because it delights you. For 25 days, play becomes essential rather than optional. Create something beautiful without needing it to be productive. Let yourself fall in love with life again, whether or not a specific person is involved. Joy for its own sake. That is the assignment. Aquarius. Venus enters your 4th house of home and emotional foundation. Domestic life becomes sweeter. The spaces you live in ask for beauty and attention. Family connections, chosen or biological, soften. Whatever unfinished emotional business exists in your roots, Venus offers a gentler pathway through. Create sanctuary in your physical space. The inner peace you seek starts with where you rest your body. When Pisces, Venus enters your 3rd house of communication and immediate environment. Your words become more pleasant, more harmonious, more able to connect rather than just convey. Conversations flow. Neighbors and siblings become easier. Short trips satisfy more than usual. Whatever you write or speak over the next 25 days carries Venus's blessing. Let your voice be an instrument of beauty. Now I want to offer you a practice for today specifically. Venus enters Taurus at 12:01 p.m. Eastern. In the morning, before the shift, notice what feels unresolved in your body around worth and receiving. Where is there clenching? Where is there reaching? Where is there belief that you must perform to deserve? Just notice. Do not try to fix it. Then, at or after noon, take 5 minutes to simply receive something. It can be small. Sunlight on your face, a cup of coffee or tea held with both hands. Music that you actually listen to rather than use as background noise. The practice is not complicated. The practice is presence. Let something good enter you without immediately reaching for the next thing. One moment of genuine reception resets the nervous system more than hours of striving. At some point today, eat something slowly. Not while working. Not while scrolling. Just you and the food and the experience of being nourished. Taurus Venus speaks through the senses. Give her somewhere to land in your actual physical experience. The body is not separate from the spiritual transit. The body is how you receive it. If you can, touch something beautiful. A texture that pleases your skin. A plant. A fabric. On your own face with kindness rather than judgment. Taurus rules the physical world, the realm of the senses, what can be touched and tasted and held. Venus here blesses matter itself. Your body is matter. Your body receives the blessing too. The next 25 days are for building something sustainable, not the drama of beginnings or the intensity of endings, but the quiet middle where things actually grow. Aries planted seeds in fire. Taurus waters them in patience. Whatever you want in matters of love and money and worth, the path is not more effort. The path is deeper receiving. But receiving requires trust, and trust requires believing that what comes to you is actually yours. So much of human suffering around Venus matters. Love, money, beauty, comes from not trusting that we are allowed to have what we want. We take less than we deserve. We settle before we should. We assume the good things are for others. Venus in Taurus offers a different story. The goddess does not apologize for her throne. She does not negotiate her crown. She simply is what she is, and the universe arranges itself around her. What if you allowed yourself the same? Not arrogance. That is insecurity performing confidence, but genuine self-possession. Genuine trust that your value is not up for debate, that what you deserve will come because you have stopped blocking it with your belief in your own unworthiness. This is the invitation. This is what the next 25 days are for. The full moon comes in 2 days. It will ask hard questions about your relationships, about balance, about what you give and what you receive. Venus in Taurus gives you somewhere to stand while those questions arrive. You do not have to answer immediately. You do not have to perform immediate transformation. You just have to receive the information honestly. The ground will hold you. The goddess is home. There is something else I want you to understand about this transit. Venus in Taurus is not just about comfort and receiving. It's about what lasts. Taurus builds for generations. Taurus plants trees whose shade it will never sit under. The love you cultivate over the next 25 days, if it is real, will still be standing years from now. The financial foundations you build, if they are honest, will support weight you cannot yet imagine. This is slow work. This is patient work. The culture teaches us to want everything immediately. But Venus in Taurus knows that what comes too fast often leaves just as quickly. The relationships that last are not built in moments of intensity. They are built in thousands of ordinary moments where someone chose to stay, where someone chose to be present, where someone chose the real person over the fantasy. This transit favors that kind of building. Ask yourself today, what are you building that is meant to last? Not just what feels good in this moment, though that matters too. But what structure are you creating for your future self to inhabit? What foundation are you laying? What investments, in love, in money, in your own becoming, will still be paying dividends in 5 years, in 10 years, in a lifetime? Venus in Taurus plays the long game. She knows that true worth compounds over time. She knows that real beauty deepens rather than fades. She knows that the love which endures is not the love that burns hottest, but the love that burns most steadily. Today she invites you into that knowing. The sky has delivered its message. Your next step writes what follows.